Hey, so I'm picking up from where we left off last week in our SAT math prep. I moved it to Thursday this week because I had a student I had to see yesterday. So I'm just gonna keep going. It's Thursday instead of Wednesday, but we're on number 13. And it starts off asking if x is greater than 3, which is equivalent to 1 over x plus 2 plus 1 over x plus 3. So you don't really have to worry too much about the x being greater than 3. We're just really trying to manipulate the equation and see if it matches up which one of the ones in the answer choices. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to want to add those two fractions on the bottom. So we're going to take this by itself, and we're going to make them have the same denominator. So I'm going to multiply this side by x plus 3 over x plus 3. And this side times x plus 2 over x plus 2. Okay? So now we're going to have x plus 3 plus x plus 2 over x plus 3 times x plus 2. Okay? I'm going to FOIL out the bottom, okay, and I'm going to take off the parentheses from the top. So on the top we have, well, we're just ignoring this top. Right now we're just dealing with the denominator. We'll go back to that original one on top, all right? So we have x plus 3 plus x plus 2, and I'm going to FOIL the bottom. So we're going to have x squared plus 5x plus 6. So that turns into 2x plus 5 over x squared plus 5x plus 6, okay? Now remember, we have 1 on the top divided by this whole thing, all right? So I'm going to flip this and multiply it times 1, which is basically just going to be this flipped. And that's going to be our final answer. That is choice B. Okay? All right, next question. Number 14. Okay. If 3x minus y equals 12, we need to find an equivalent to 8 to the x over 2 to the y. So 2 is a cube root of 8, so we're able to change that so that these both have the same base, and then we're going to be able to manipulate it and change it a little bit, all right? So that 8 to the x on the top is going to turn into 2 to the 3x over 2 to the y. Sorry, I wrote that down here. It's supposed to be an exponent. All right, so we have two exponents with the same base, divided by each other. So what we can do is we take the exponents, 3x minus y, and we keep just one base, 2. So this is just going to equal 2 to the 3x minus y And we see in the beginning they gave us 3x minus y equals 12. So that just equals 2 to the 12th. And that is that's choice A. That's our final answer. All right, moving on to 15. All right, 15 is going to take a little space, so I'm going to erase that again. All right, we're given if a to the x plus 2 times b to the x plus 7 equals 15x squared plus cx plus 14 for all values of x. And we're also given a plus b equals 8. We need to know, we're looking for the two possible values for c, okay? So you see that on the right-hand side we have a quadratic equation. On the left-hand side, when we multiply those two together, we can see it'll also be a quadratic. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna FOIL this out so we can see the similarities between both sides and we can find some relationships. So we're going to have abx squared plus 7ax plus 2bx plus 14 equals 15x squared plus cx plus 14. All right, so right away we can notice some similarities. We definitely see that this 14 is the same. We see that AB has got to equal 15, okay? Because this is 15 is with the x squared here, AB is with the x squared here. So we know now that AB equals 15. So we know that AB equals 15. We're given that A plus B equals 8. So because of that, we're looking for two numbers that multiply to 15 and add to 8. So it has to be 3 and 5. We're not sure yet which one is which. That's why they're asking us for two possibilities. So we have two options. We have either A equals 3 and B equals 5, or the other way around, okay? Or A equals 5 and B equals 3. And B equals 3. Okay, so basically we just have to take these two possibilities and plug them back into the original equation for A and B. So let's start with A as 3 and B as 5. All right. I'm going to use this one here because it's already FOILed, okay, instead of the first one. So we have 3 times 5 x squared plus 7 times 3 x plus 2 times 5 x plus 14. Okay, so we have 15x squared here. Okay, we have plus 21x plus 10x plus 14. Okay, 15x squared plus 31x plus 14. Okay, so this is one possible value for C, 31. All right, so we're going to do this again, but we're going to plug them in the opposite. So we're going to use this scenario where A is 5 and B is 3. Do the same thing. So we're going to have 5 times 3x squared plus 7 times 5 x plus 2 times 3, x plus 14. So we get 15 again in the front, 15x squared plus 35x plus 6x plus 14. Okay, here we have 35 plus 6 is 41x. Okay, so that's our other value for C. So our two choices for C are 31 and 41. Okay, and that is choice D. All right. Let's move on. All right, so now we're moving into the grid-ins. So you just have to find a, you don't select, you have to find an actual answer for it, okay? You don't get a multiple choice. So let's do 16. Oh, let me erase the board first. Sorry, I know I have a small board. I'm gonna get something bigger for you guys soon. All right. All right, 16. If t is greater than 0 and t squared minus 4 equals 0, what is t? Okay, so we're just going to move this 4 to the other side, and we get t squared equals 4. Okay, take the square root of both sides, and then t equals plus or minus 2. But since they're telling us that t is positive, we're just doing t is 2. So t equals 2. Okay? Oh, I have to erase again. Sorry. I'm trying to write nice and big for you guys, so just bear with me. All right, 17. So I'm not an artist, but I'm going to try. We have all right. So a summer camp counselor wants to find a length x in feet across a lake as represented by AB, EB, BD, and CD on the sketch were determined to be 1,800 feet, 1,400 feet, 700 feet, and 800 feet respectively. Okay, segments AC and DC intersect at B, and the angle AEB and CDB have the same measure. What's x? All right, so first we're going to write down our givens. Okay, so we know that, I'm going to write them up here. AB is 1,800 feet. EB, 1,400 feet. BD, 700. And CD is 800. Okay. So, all right, let's write them again inside the actual diagram. All right. So right away we see, I have them labeled already, that these angles are equal at point E and point D. We also know that these two are intersecting, so these are vertical angles. So these are also equal. Okay? Now, since we have two angles corresponding in both triangles that are equal, we know that the triangles are similar. Okay, so we're going to be able to go ahead and make some ratios of the lengths of the side, and we'll be able to solve for x. I like to kind of turn it around because it's a little hard to see when this is basically upside down. So I'm just going to rotate it. I'm going to draw them again and rotate this triangle so that it looks, you know, side by side like a similar triangle. All right, so let's have AEB here. Okay, so we know we had E and D are equal. These two are equal. These two are equal. This is 700, 800. So, since they're similar, we know that the relationship between 700 and 1400, right, is going to be proportional to the relationship between 800 and x. So we just have to set up a proportion. Okay, you can cross multiply. Equals 800 times 1400 is 1200. Divide both sides by 700 and x is going to equal 1600. Okay. Okay, so what are we on? 18. All right, so 18, we have a system of equations here. We have x plus y equals negative 9. X plus 2y equals negative 25. Usually when we're solving systems of equations, we're looking for a point, so we're looking for x and y. So be careful because this isn't multiple choice. So if you write a point, x and y, it's going to be the wrong answer. They just want x. That's all they want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to solve for y in that top equation, and I'm going to plug it into y in here and just solve for x. So y is going to equal negative x minus 9. So I'm going to take this whole thing and plug it into y in the second equation. X plus 2 times negative x minus 9 is negative 25. All right, so let's just distribute that 2. X equals, no, minus to negative, 2 times negative x. X minus 2 minus 18, 2 times 9, it's also negative, equals negative 25. Minus 2x, sorry. All right, minus 2x, okay? X minus 2x is negative x. Negative x minus 18 equals negative 25. Let's add 18 to both sides. So negative x equals negative 7. Just multiply both sides by negative 1 and x equals 7. All right? That's our final answer for 18. Okay. Okay, 19. In a right triangle, one angle measures x degrees, where sine of x degrees, okay, we're dealing with a right triangle, equals 4/5. All right, so they want to know what is the cosine of 90 degrees minus x degrees. Ideally, you're going to want to remember that this is a property. We're dealing with a complementary angle relationship. So sine of x always equals the cosine of 90 minus x in a right triangle. So if you remember that, it's really easy because you already automatically know that the answer is 4/5. Okay? If you need a little help remembering, or you're not sure, you can always draw out the triangle. So we have a 90-degree triangle. Let's put x over here, 90 minus x up here. Okay? So if sine of x is 4/5, that means the opposite is 4, hypotenuse is 5, right? Because sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay, so if you look at the other angle, the angle they're looking for, 90 minus x, the adjacent side is 4, the hypotenuse is 5. Okay, so you can also kind of piece it together if you don't remember all the rules. Okay, all right, so that's our answer, 4/5. All right, last one we're going to do is number 20, and then that's the end of this section 3. So if a equals 5 radical 2 and 2a equals radical 2x, what's x? So this is pretty easy. All you do is take that a, they give you a numerical value for a, and just plug it in for a over here, and you'll solve for x. Okay? So 2 times 5 radical 2 equals radical 2x. Okay, I'm going to distribute this 2 first. So I'll have 10 radical 2 on this side equals radical 2x. Get rid of that radical, you got to do the opposite, so we're going to square that. Square both sides. Okay, so we end up with 100. Okay, we're squaring the 10, 100. Square that 2. This is a 2, so 100 times 2 equals 2x. All right, I'm going to divide 2 from both sides. I just left it open because there was a 2 on both sides. I didn't multiply that together. It's easier that way. Okay, x equals 100. All right, that's all for next week. For this week, next week I'm going to pick up, not sure what the next math section is. I'll let you guys know. I'll post what we're doing next week. Thank you for watching. If you need any additional help, you can always contact me online. My website is www.studentsuccesswithjess.com, or you can keep contacting me on Facebook. All right, thank you for watching.